Hi guys, in this tutorial or in this series of tutorials I am going to show you how to create a complete login form or login program in Tkinter Python. And by the way guys, I have created a complete course for you guys who want to be a professional Python desktop developers, so check that out in the description below. If you really want to become a professional desktop application and find a job in one of the biggest companies out there. And also check out our free ebook in the description below. And let's get started. First of all, this is just a simple login form that we are going to create something similar to this, not exactly, but close to it. Username and password. I think I'm gonna change this username to the email instead, because most applications right now use the email for as a way of verification instead of the username. But it's free for you. If you want to use the username, it's fine. So let's get started. First of all, you need to open your Sublime Text. And the first thing that you need to type in Sublime Text is to import the Tkinter library. And to import it, just type from Tkinter and then import, and this star, which means import everything from the Tkinter library. And you need also to type this. I'm gonna come back to this line of code later in this tutorial, but let's just delete this for now so that you don't get confused. And after you have imported the Tkinter, what you need to do is to import the main class. And to import the main class, or create an object of the main class, and store it, of course, in some variable. So I'm gonna name the variable main, and it's gonna be equal to tk, right? All right. And what that means is that we have created an object from the Tkinter library, and this is going to be used throughout this series of tutorials, because this one acts like a window that is going to hold everything inside it. It's going to hold, as you can see, it's going to hold the username, the password, the fields, the buttons, every single thing. So let's continue. Then what you need to do is you need to create labels for the username or the email and the password. So we need two labels. We need to sorry, these are the labels, the username and the password, and the fields that the user is going to type the email or the username, and another field for the password, and of course a login button and a cancel button. So let's do these things here. So first of all, I'm gonna type email label, which is going to be equal to label, and this is actually an object in Tkinter library, and it takes the tk object inside it as a parameter. So we pass this main inside it, and it also takes the text that you want to display. So here in our case, we want to display the email instead here of the username. Or of course, if you want to display a username, just type username. So here I'm going to type inside this text, I'm going to type email, right? And we are going to create another one of these for the password. So instead of email label, I'm going to type password label. And what we need to change is the text. Instead of email, it should be password. Now we need to create these two entries or fields, and in Python Tkinter, to create these fields you need to type you need to create an object of some class called entry, right? Entry, and it takes actually the text as well. It doesn't take a text because it's an empty field, of course, and what it takes is the main, right? And this one is gonna be for the email, so I'm gonna give it a name of email entry or email field equals to this, and another one for the password field, right? Password. So now we have these four. We need now a button or two buttons for the login or OK, and another button for the cancel. So we can type login button, and the class that we use is called button. It's so simple, and it takes actually the main again. As you can see here and as you can notice here, the main is always should always be passed as a parameter in each of these widgets. In the label, in the entry, in the button, we always pass it as a parameter. And this is how it works, how Tkinter library works. And the second parameter that we need to pass is the text. Right? And the text should be equal to login in our case, and another button for the cancel. This one is cancel, and I'm going to change this label to cancel, right? Now save everything, and the last two lines of code are very, very important. The first one is that, remember, we created this object, right? But we did not execute, we did not call any method on it. And we need to call a method that is going to be, that is going to display all of these line of codes. Or in other words, it's gonna call all these line or execute all these line of codes. And this method is called main loop. And what it does is that it is going to execute all of these line of codes and continue displaying the window. So if you just run any Python application, it's gonna go from top to button. It's gonna execute the first line of code, the second line, the third, and so on and so forth, and then exit the program or not doing anything else if it goes to the last line of code. But we don't do that. We want the application, the window, to continue to be displayed all the time as long as the user doesn't do anything. Just the user is looking at the window. For example, this Google Chrome, as you can see, it's gonna be displayed to me as a user as long as I don't do anything, as long as I don't close it. So here we do the same. We need a way of displaying the window until the user takes an action. So here I'm gonna use the main object and then call this method, which is called main loop. And you can figure out the meaning of this method from its name. It's called main loop. It's gonna go through these lines of codes as long as the user doesn't do anything. Now if I save everything and run or build our application, guess what? Guess what? It's gonna display this window to me, but as you can see, nothing these buttons and these labels aren't there. Why is that? Well, the answer is so simple. Because we need... So now what you need to do is to call a function called pack. And what this function does is it packs everything inside your container, inside your TK or Tkinter container, and display everything inside your application or your window. So each time you create a widget, you need to call the pack function. So here, if I start calling, of course, before executing the main loop, I need here first to call the label and to call the pack function on the label. So email label dot pack, and then I should do the same for each and every widget. So here password label. You know what? I need before I call the password label, before I call the pack on the password label, I should first call the pack on the email field, because each time you call the pack, it's gonna be displayed. So if I call the email label first, it's gonna display the display the email label, and then if I call the password label, it's going to display the password word beneath the email. And I don't want, of course, I don't want that. What I want is first the email, then the field that the user has to fill out before displaying the password. And I'm going to show exactly what I mean when I run the application. So here I'm going to use the field and then call the pack function. And I'm going to do the same for the password label first, pack, and then the password label or field, field dot pack, and this one should be label, right? And finally the button, the login button dot pack, and the cancel button as well, cancel button dot pack. Let's now run and see. Save and run. And as you can see now, I have a very beautiful login window. As you can see, the email, the field that I can fill out, the email and the password, the login and the cancel buttons. And as you can see, these are not aligned and positioned correctly on the screen. In the next tutorial or next tutorials, I'm gonna show you how you can exactly position each element in the location you want inside this window. So guys, if you really want to be a professional desktop developer or Python desktop developer, check out my complete course in the description below, and also download our free ebook that is going to help you also get project and get money by creating applications. Thanks for watching. I see you later. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to position widgets on the window correctly and in the location that we want them to be. So for example, here, if I run again my application, as you can see now, the email label, and then the field, and then the password label, and then the field. So it's kind of they are positioned depending on the which pack method was called before. So if you call the email label first, if you call the pack method on the email label first, it comes first on the screen, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, the last widget was the cancel button, and the reason is that is because the pack method was called in the last line of codes here when we call the pack methods. Now let's fix this. So what I want to do is to create something like that, the email or the username, and then on the right side the field, and then the password, and on the right side the field for the password. So to do that, we need to fix the pack method. Actually the pack method takes two parameters. The first one is called the site, and you just type the site and then equals to the side where you want the element to be. So I want the email label to be on the left of the screen. So I'm gonna type left, and the second parameter is called the fill, and the fill actually makes you fill the widget vertically or horizontally. So for example, if I want the email label to take the complete screen, I would type Y. I would type X. And if I wanted to take the complete if I wanted to take the screen vertically, I would type Y. So I would type fill equals to X or Y. So let's test and see before we go further. Actually, this one should be capital. This one should be capital X. Save and run. And as you can see now, the email label takes the complete screen horizontally, but you can't see that because the background is white, but it does actually. But I don't want that actually. What I want is just to set it on the left of the screen, and then I want the field to be on the right. I could just type left again, and it's gonna be to the right of the email, or if I type right, it's gonna be close to the end of the window from the right side. So both would work for me. I could just type side equals to left again and save, and let's run. And as you can see, again, the field is on the right of the label, the email label, and it's correct. This is actually what we want, and I should do the same for the password and the field. Welcome back. Now let's work on the positioning or widgets inside our window. And as you can see here, they are not positioned in the way that we want. And in the previous tutorial, we talked about the pack function, that it takes the side as you can see here, the side, and then you type right or left. But that actually is not a professional, or is not a good way to use, especially when you have a lot of widgets in your application. So instead of using the pack function, we are going to delete all of these pack functions, because the pack function is just packs the widget and adds it to the window with a left or right, and it's not very good in the way of positioning the element correctly or in a specific place in the screen. So I'm gonna comment these out, all of these, and instead I am going to use a function called grid. So suppose that we have a grid, and the grid is something like the Excel sheet. The Excel sheet consists of rows and columns. So we are going to use this grid function. So for example, the email label, I'm going to call the grid function grid. And the grid function takes two parameters. The first one is row. Of course, both of them are optional, but we need to use them to position each one correctly. So the first one is the row. So the row in our case, in our email label, is going to be 0, and the column is going to be 0 as well, because we want the email label to be on the far left side of the screen. So we want it to be here, 0, 0. And for the email field, we want it to be to the right of the email label. So I'm going to call the grid again, and instead of assigning the column to be 0, it should be 1, right? Column equals 1, because we want it to be in the row 0, this row, but we want it to be on column 1, meaning that to the right of the email label. So we do the same for the password. I can just copy and paste. So password label, it should be in that case should be grid first, and then the row should be 1. And if you want to give some space, you could just type 2 so that you get some space, but I think 1 is good. And then the column should be 0, right? And the password field should get the row of 1, and the column equals to 1, right? Now for the buttons, we have 2 buttons. The first one is the login button. We could just type grid, and the row can be equals to 2 or 3, even 3, and the column can be 1. Column equals to 1, and we want the cancel to be to the right of the login button. So the cancel button is going to have the row of 3 as well, but the column can be should be 2 in order to be to the right of the login button. Let's save and run. And as you can see, now we have the email and the field, and then the password and the field. And as you can see, we have now the login and the cancel. The cancel is not aligned well, so let's just give this 0 and this 1 and run again. And as you can see, this is much better, and things are aligned better than before. So guys, if you want to really be a professional desktop Python developer, check out my course in the description below, and also download my free ebook so that you know how to get projects and create applications and get money for that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to change the color of a widget in our program. So it's so simple, by the way. All we need to do is to pass another parameter here in the widget. So for example, the label here, I'm going to pass a parameter called FG, which stands for the font of that widget, or the text for that widget. So for example, I want that label to have a red color. So let's save and run. As you can see, the email label has a red color. If you want to change the background color, what you need to do is, instead of passing the FG parameter, you would pass a parameter called BG, which stands for the background. And let's say I want it to be black. So just type black and save and run. And as you can see, the background now for this email is black. So guys, if you want to be really professional in Python desktop applications, check my description below. You will find the course that I have created in details to take you to another level in Python Tkinter. And also don't forget to download my free ebook, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. See you later. Hi guys, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to add an event to a button. So for example, if the user clicks on the login button, we need something to happen for the user. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some window that pops up, or some message that gets printed on the screen, or any event of your choice. So first of all, what we need to do is to create that function that is going to be called when the user clicks on the button, either the cancel button or the login button. Of course, you can add another event for each one. So here I'm going to create the function called, for example, show message, and you need to pass the word event, because this is going to be called, and Python or Tkinter will know that this is an event corresponding to a specific button. And then as usual, what you need to type here is you just type the codes for this function. What I want this function to do is just print some message for the user. So for example, print you clicked on the login button, right? And now the most important thing that you need to learn, which is how are we going to connect this function to the button. In other words, how are we going to let this function called whenever the user clicks on the button. That is absolutely simple. You will be impressed how simple it is. All you need to do is to call a function called bind, and the first parameter is going to be double, or not double, just greater than or smaller than sign, and then greater than sign, and in between what you need to type is button and then -1. This in that way the Tkinter will know that you are trying to make an event for that button by this keyword. And of course, if you want more details about events, you can check the official documentation provided by Tkinter, and you will find other keywords if you want to do other events. But by the way, this is the most common and the one that you are going to use most of the time, because it's very common and important. And the second parameter is the function that you want to connect to that button, and in our case it's show mess or show miss or message. Let's say show message so that we don't get confused, and I'm gonna just pass it here as a second parameter, right? And be careful here, don't type the braces here. We don't need this, only just the function itself without the braces. And the last thing is you need to call the pack function, and let's save and run. Now if I click on login, it should print here, but I should close the window, and as you can see now it says you clicked on the login button. So whenever you click on the login button, it's gonna do something. In our case, you clicked on the login button. And what I want you guys to do is to try creating or mimicking what I did with the cancel button, so that you get a clear understanding of this. And by the way, guys, if you want to be really professional in Python desktop applications, don't forget to check out the description below. I have created a complete course that is going to take you to another step, and you will be able to take freelancing projects and create money online by creating applications for customers. And of course, don't forget to also download my free ebook that is going to explain everything to you about being a professional developer. And also don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Hey guys, and welcome back to a new tutorial here on my channel. And in this tutorial we are going to discuss the frames in Tkinter library in Python. And the power of this library is that it lets you divide your screen or your application or desktop application into sections. So as you can see here, we have a sidebar that contains the some buttons, the customers, products, reports, things like that. And in nowadays applications or websites, you see the screen divided into sections. And we want to do the same. So in order to accomplish that, we use something called frames in Tkinter. And I'm going to show you how powerful frames are in Tkinter. First of all, in order to use frames, you need to create an object of the frame class. So let's suppose that we want to create a sidebar frame like this. I would go ahead here and create a variable called side frame or sidebar side frame equals to frame, and inside that frame we pass the main tk object. So here I pass main, and I also want to create the main frame, which is the left side or the right side frame that contains anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead here and create another frame, and I might call it right side frame or main frame, doesn't matter, right frame, and it's also gonna be equal to frame because we are gonna create an object of that frame main of that frame class. And in order to set that side frame on the left side of the screen, we need to use the pack function. So I'm gonna use the pack function using, first of all, I use the side frame variable, and then I call the pack function on it. And inside the pack function, I should pass the side. Right? Remember that from previous tutorials when we used the side to just use it for a single widget on the screen, but here we don't have to use we don't have to specify a side for each widget on the screen. We just specify it for a frame, and inside that frame all elements inside it will be on that side. So here side equals to left, and for the right frame I'm gonna call also the pack function, and inside it I am going to use the side equals to right GHT, right? And now we can add our widgets or elements inside our sidebar and inside our right frame. So for the sidebar, let's suppose that for the side frame we have buttons. Button 1 equals to button, and instead of passing the main, here we pass the the frame that we want that button to appear on. So we want that button to appear on the side frame or inside the side frame. So I'm going to pass side frame. And the other arguments are just the text for that button. Maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I should add a text of button 1, anything you want. And let's suppose that we have another 3 buttons. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to change this to 2, and this to 3, and this to 4, and this as well to 3 and 4. And now we should have all of these buttons inside our side frame. Now for the right frame, we might add other elements. We might leave it empty. It's up to you. But don't forget to use the pack function for the buttons. So for each button, button 1, we should call the pack function as well. So in order, the order that you want the buttons to be appeared on the side frame, you should call the for example, the button 1 first, so that it appears first. And then if you call button 3 after button 1, it's going to appear before button 2. So make sure that you call them in the order that you want them to appear in. So here I want button 2, and then pack, and then button 3, and then again I call pack, and button 4, and I call the pack function again. And finally, don't forget to, should have it here, yeah, the main loop. Don't forget this one, this function. Now let's save and run. And we have got an error in line 22. Here it says name button 2 is not defined. I don't know where is the error. Yeah, we have here an error. Let's save and run again. And I forgot the T, sorry. And I'm gonna save and run. Make sure that everything is correct. Sorry again for that error. Save and run. And there you go. Now we have a sidebar with these buttons. And of course, since the right frame is empty, nothing appears here. So I need to add something just to show you that anything that I add on the right inside the right frame, it's gonna appear on the right side, not beneath the side frame. So for example, I might here create a label, and it's gonna be equal to label, and just pass the right frame and the text equals to label, and I should here call the pack function as well, pack, and save and run. And there you go. Now we have a beautiful application, as you can see. Sorry. Yeah, now we have it, as you can see, the buttons on the left side and the label on the right side. And anything that you add on the right side, it's gonna appear beneath the label if you call it beneath the label, this label. So this is how it works, and this is how you can add multiple widgets inside one frame instead of passing the side inside each pack function here. You could just pass it once inside the frame and pass the frame inside the buttons or the widgets. And yep, that's it. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also there are a lot of materials in the description below, and I also have some courses in the description below are very useful if you want to really be professional in Python in any aspect of Python. Just check out the description below and support the channel by subscribing. And that's it. I'll see you later. Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video tutorial here in my channel cowboy. Today we are going to talk about something new, which is displaying an image in Tkinter library. And actually it's very important because, as you know, any desktop application nowadays has images and photos and stuff like that, and it's very important. Maybe you want to add your logo in your desktop application, or any other photos, or your profile photos, etc., etc. So you need to know how to add images in your Tkinter program. So let's get started. First of all, you need to import something called image module from, or image class from, the PIL library, and I already imported it. So what you would do is just go to your command prompt, or in Windows, or terminal in Mac, as you can see here, and then type Python 3 and then -m and then pip install image. And be careful here, the I should be capital, and then hit enter. I already installed it, so it's gonna tell me you already have it. Yes, it says here requirement already satisfied. So once you import it, as you can see, it's gonna load here twice for the class. I think two classes will be downloaded: the image and image TK, or yeah, image TK. And after you import it, you need to open a new file and start coding with me. First of all, you need to import, as usual, you need to import the Tkinter library and everything from it, because we might use anything. And the second thing, we need to import the class that we just downloaded, which is the image TK, as well as the image. So what I would do is just from PIL, which is a library. You can install the complete library, but since I'm not going to use everything in it, I just downloaded the image as well as the image TK, and then from PIL import, and then image TK, and the T is capital, and then the image. And then what you need to do is to create the root, which is going to be equal to TK, so that we can call anything from the TKL library. Now the most important part comes into play. You need first to create a variable called path for the path of the image. So here I downloaded an image previously, and I called it d.jpg. So here what you would do is just specify the path. Of course, if the path is different, my path is in the desktop, and the tkinter underscore image.py is on the desktop. So the path would be d.jpg. But if, for example, this image was inside another folder, for example, this folder, you would type the name of the folder, leno, for example, and then slash blah 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 slash etc., etc. And it's important to know the directory of the image. And the next thing that you need to do is to use the image tk class, and then we are gonna call a method called photo image, and this is the most important function that will load that image from the desktop into our application. And this image, or this function takes the first parameter that it takes is mandatory, and it's the image.open function. And to use it, just use the image class, which is this one. Sorry, it should be inside. Use the image class and use the open function, and the open function will open that directory or that image inside our application, and we pass the path of that image inside this open function, and it's gonna take care of everything in terms of converting the image string or image URL into a string that so that the program or Tkinter library or Python will be able to read the image and display it. And what also we need to call is a function called resize, and I am going to leave this to the end so that I'm going to show you without resizing and with resizing. And after all of this, I'm gonna store the result of the image inside a variable called img, which stands for image. And then I would just, as usual, create a label for that image to display the image inside that label. So I would just say image label equals to label, as usual, label. And of course, the first parameter is the root. The second parameter is the image, right? As we used to do. Image equals to the image, this one. And finally, we need to use the pack function to display it. So I would say image label.pack, and of course we can pass some parameters like the location of the image. For example, the side could be bottom or top. Let's say top, and we could also pass the fill to fill the complete screen with the image, or both size, and then finally the expand. The image will be expandable equals to yes. Of course, these are optional, you don't have to use them. And finally, you use the root function, you use the main loop function and call it on the root so that the program runs. And also I'm going to create a couple of labels, displaying them as well under the image so that I show you how it works all together. So the label, for example, username label equals to label, and then root, and the text equals to username, and then password, for example, or anything you want. Pass label equals to label, and then root, and then text, and then equals to password. And finally, we use again the pack on these two variables, pack, as well as pass label pack dot pack. And we run now the program, and I'm going to show you how it looks like. Well, we have an error here, and yeah, the error is the B. It should be small, not capital. And let's save and run. And as you can see, the image is very, very big, and of course I don't want that. And there is fortunately there is a very good way to resize the image. You need to call a function called resize on the open function here inside the image.open. And what you need to pass is three parameters. The first one is the width, and then the height, and then the image anti-alias. So for example, I want the width to be 200 and the height is 200, and then image dot anti alias, and we here just add two brackets here, and here as I just said, the width and then the height and then this parameter. No, don't worry about this. It's just mandatory. Just add it, and then now we can run and see. And if I run, as you can see now, we have the password or the username, the password, and then the image resized, and now it's much better. Of course, you can change the width and height for any width and height you want, and of course you can add more parameters here and more widgets here. For example, the field for the user to fill in, and also the button for the login or anything. Of course, you can resize. Of course, you can relocate this image to be on the left side by changing this button, for example, to top. If I save and run, it would be on. As you can see now, it's at the top, and you can add more sophisticated relocation of the image on the left or right side. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and also don't forget to check the description because I have a free ebook so that you can learn how to become a professional software freelance developer online and create a lot of money online and take projects online. And also check out my courses below if you really want to become a professional in any Python topic. So that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you later.